Yākōpu, alias Irāmatēvar, who was one of the most prominent Tamil Siddhars and who lived probably around 17th and 18th century. He was a prolific author of more than 17 treatises on mostly medicine and alchemy. And this particular text consists of the 3 chapters devoted to medicine. The first chapter entitled as the whole text Vaittiya Kallāṭam. The second chapter is devoted to alchemy. It's entitled Kędzia. And the last chapter on the knowledge, Kędzia, is about the yogic practices. As we can see from this brief outline, okay, thank you. The content of the text is dominated by the medical part, which forms more than the half of the total content of the text. And all the 3 parts contain passages which are composed in obscure esoteric language, this kind of language is generally considered to be a characteristic feature of the Siddha literature. In this presentation, I will present some strategies employed by the author to transmit the knowledge in such an esoteric way. And the main focus will be put on the medical chapter, which contains a lot of riddles. Okay, so the medical chapter opens with the 2 introductory verses in which contain the praise of the medicine, praise of some Ganesha and the goddess, and a short information about the total content of the whole book. Then the main part follows, which consists of 54 verses, and which provides recipes, 17 recipes for different kinds of drugs, such as in different forms, such as waxy pills, medicinal powders, ointments, and so on. And usually the recipe starts with the listings of the number of ingredients of mineral, metallic, animal, and herbal origin. And then the very general description of the method of preparation follows. Some recipes also contain some advices about the application of the drugs and the foods which should be taken with the drug. And then typical recipe is concluded with a list of the diseases, common diseases, which are meant to be fought by the drug. In the discourse of among those 17 recipes of the medical chapter, 14 contain riddles, the passages in which some essential information about the preparation of the drug has been concealed in the kind of riddles. And the discourse of this medical chapter has been dominated by the kind of the word games, word puzzles, which are based mostly on the polysemy and the use of the synonyms. And here we have an example from one of the verses. For the pleasure of the senses, add the mother, which is Tamil Avvai, to the beginning of the lead, Vanga. Here we have to substitute the word mother, Avvai, with the synonymous word ila, which in Old Tamil was a word used for addressing women in a familiar way. And then if we add this synonym in the beginning of the word lead, which is Vangam, we get ila Vangam as a solution, and this means clove. So this is the ingredient which we should take. Another example, the wife of the Supreme Being. Here, the puzzle is again based on the use of the synonyms. If we substitute the word Supreme Being, Purushottaman, with the name of the god Vishnu, Ari, and we substitute the word wife, Maneyal, with the synonymous word Dharam, and connect both words, both synonyms, we get Aridaram, which is a technical term for the yellow arsenic used in the Tamil, in the Siddha medicine and Siddha alchemy. Similarly, the next example, add the seen word to the mountain. Here the synonymous, one of the synonymous words for mountain is Kal, which means stone, rock, and the mountain. And if we add the synonymous word Parta, synonymous participle for seen, formed from the different verb root kande, we get a karkande, which means sugar. Another type of puzzles are the riddles which refer to the cultural context and local reality. For example, the third younger brother of cow's milk is butter, because according the puzzle refers to the pan-Indian concept of Panchagavyam products, which are usually enumerated as presented here. So the butter is usually the third in the sequence. That's why it's the third younger brother. Similarly, prepare the middle of the 5 great elements means prepare the fire, because in the listings of Panchamahabhutam, the fire is usually enumerated in the middle. Constellation, Natchatiram, here it means Puram, which is the name of the substance, the calomel. Because Puram accepts that this is the proper name of the substance used in the Siddha system of medicine. It also is one of the name of the 27 constellations, nakshatras or nakshatrams in Tamil, recognized in Tamil astrology. Moreover, some riddles may refer to the action of some substances. For example, the juice of the friend of the cats. It's the juice of the plant cūpaimeni, and this is because the cūpaimeni is, which is also a medicinal plant, has properties similar to catnip. It's very attractive for cats. Yet another type of puzzles characteristic to Siddha literature are the riddles with the use of numerals. However, the riddle is not about the symbolic meaning of the numbers, as we could expect, but it is based on the visual similarity between the Tamil numbers and the Tamil letters of alphabet. So, for example, at the mother, tie to the 80, this in Tamil system of writing, the numerals 8 and 10 have very similar form to letters A and Ya. So, if we connect A and Ya in the cluster, we get Aya. And if we add to this cluster the synonymous word for Thai, which is mother, here Kante, we get Ayakante, which sounds very similar to Ayakandam, which means lodestone in Tamil. Such a method of encoding, based on the similarity in the visual form of the numerals and the letters, has wider use among Siddhars, not only in the Vaittiya Kallāṭam text. And one remarkable example is the number 82, which has important meaning for the Tamil Siddhars, as it is used to denote holy syllab Om, because numerals 8 and 2 are very similar to the letters A and U, which form the beginning of the syllab. Another very common method of obscuring the meaning in the Kallāṭam text is the use of metonymies. For example, Kanni, generally in Tamil it may mean flower, the wreath of flowers, or the bunch of flowers, but in the particular verse it's used to denote a particular species of plant, Ponaan Kanni, which is known for its soothing and disinfecting properties in medicine. Another example is Danusu. Here it is a double riddle, because Danusu means in Tamil bow. So first we have to replace it with the synonymous word sile, which also means bow. And this sile is a metonymy for mano sile, which is the name of the substance. It's a counterpart of Sanskrit manashila, so red arsenic. Okay. So what are the hidden meanings? As we already seen, usually the names of the ingredients have been concealed in this kind of riddles, but also instruments and apparatuses used in the preparation of the drug. For example, put the ingredients in the place where the cowherdesses tied Krishna. This riddle refers to the myth of Krishna Damodara, who has been tied with a rope to the mortar. So we have to put the ingredients to the mortar. In the text also some numerical data such as the dosage of the medicine or the units of weight of particular ingredients has also been encoded. In this case, usually the numerals have been substituted with the nouns with which they are commonly associated. For example, add the elements of the palam units of the sulfur and actions of the saltpeter. Here the word elements substitutes number 5, because as we already know, there are 5 elements recognized in Indian traditions. The word actions should be replaced with the number 2, since there are 2 kinds of actions, the good and the bad actions. So as a solution, in recipe we should take 5 palm of sulfur and 2 palm of saltpeter. Similarly, take the years of the Kędzia units of the courses of the planets. Here again we have a double riddle, because if we substitute the noun planets with the numeral 9, Nava, because there are 9 planets in Indian astrology, and connect this word Nava with the word courses, we get Navasaram, which is the name of the substance, which is sal ammoniac. And the word years suggests that we should take 2 units of this substance, because usually we have 2 years. Two more simple examples. Directions of the butter means that we should take 8 units of the butter, because there are 4 cardinal points and 4 intermediate points recognized in Tamil tradition. And the last one, it's Muruhan times. This signifies that the medicine should be taken 6 times, because as we see on the picture, Muruhan has 6 faces. The other name of the god is Shanmugan, which means the 6-faced. So this is the number which is commonly associated with the god. Okay, now let's move to the alchemical part. This chapter consists of 30 stanzas, and recurring subject which dominated the content of this section is the production of gold. The chapter provides a few very general recipes for the transmutation of gold, of the different metals and different substances. And these recipes also contain some passages composed in the mysterious language, similar to the previous medical part. There are a few riddles, almost identical with those from medical parts, such as word puzzles, like here in the example. Aridaram, which is a name of the yellow arsenic. The word used in the text is Mal Devi. Mal means Vishnu, which we have to substitute with Ari, another name of Vishnu, and Devi means a goddess, and we have to substitute it with a word wife, so we get Aridaram. So generally is very similar to the riddles from the medical part. However, it has to be stressed that these kind of riddles appear in this alchemical chapter much less frequently. There are just a few riddles like this. And more often, conventional names of the ingredients are used in the recipes. On the other hand, the chapter contains also some references to the yogic practices, such as meditation or on the 6 adharams, opening the central channel, and breath control. And occurrence of such references in the context of alchemical operations may suggest that at least some of the descriptions of the alchemical preparations might be understood at 2 different levels. One relating to the actions performed on the physical substances, and the second concerning spiritual practices applied by the yogi. So in this case, if we interpret the text in such a way, another kind of the esoteric language would be applied, the language which is based on the symbolic meaning of the words used in the recipes, which apart from their common meaning may suggest other symbolic understanding. And such a kind of obscure language is found, is typical in the earlier text important for Tamil Siddha tradition, namely Tirumandiram of Tirumular. The text has been composed before 12th century, and it is generally considered to be a fountain text of the Tamil Siddha tradition. It deals mostly with the Shaiva doctrines, yoga, and religious practices. And about 10% of the content of the text, it has been estimated that it has been composed in obscure language called cūṉiya, which means the discourse of void. In one passage of the text, alchemical operation of transforming copper into gold is used in the simile, in which it is compared to the becoming of a god of adept, of a yogi. Alchemical chapter of the Kallāṭam also describes few operations of transmutation of substances into gold, which in certain contexts might be understood as a spiritual transformation. For example, the second verse, which follows directly after the verse concerning the yogic practices, reads as follows: when you are dispirited, do not be confused. This indeed is nadam. Dip it in savukkaravarale, put it into calcining capsule. Immediately after burning it, it will become powdered, it will become gold. The transformation will spread, learn and agree with that. In this stanza, nadam and savukkaravarale are names of the substances, namely sulfur and triple salt, used by the Siddhars. However, in this context, nadam might also refer to a mystical sound, and the triple salt, this savukkaravarale, sometimes in the literature is used as an expression for the om, for the syllable om. So it might be a reference to the using of mantra om during meditative practices. In the shortest, consisting of only 11 stanzas part, entitled Chapter of the Knowledge, some cryptic passages are found too. The content of the chapter covers few subjects related to practice of yoga. And however, in this section, the word puzzles of the type observed in the medical and alchemical, partially in alchemical chapters, are not found. Instead, the chapter is dominated by expressions which seems to describe inner experiences of yogi, but they are rather conventional, such as this quotation, which refers to the experiences in Sahasrara. So, what are the possible functions of the esoteric language in the text? In case of the chapter on knowledge, the ambiguous language may be used to convey mystical experiences which are difficult to express by the common language. In regards to the chapter on alchemy, the esoteric language may serve to conceal the knowledge which is regarded valuable knowledge about the production of gold or about the salvation, means of salvation, to protect it from the people who are not initiated and not prepared for this kind of knowledge. But in case of the medicine, the use of the esoteric language in recipes against common diseases does not seem to be that much necessary. The use of the esoteric language may indicate that medicine, besides its pragmatic role of healing, in Tamil Siddha tradition also serves the other purposes. Such a strategy may highlight that similarly to alchemy and yoga, medicine is seen as an integral part of the composed system of the science, which is aimed at achieving liberation. And the aim is mentioned in the final stanza of the medical chapter. Beautifully, the medical chapter has been devoted to the people of the world. They have seen all the revealed secrets of the methods of preparation. They will achieve long life without dying and all the supernatural powers. The one who learns this will become the fulfilled one, which is the Siddhar. Discourse of the medical part, although obscured, differs in regard to the other parts. The frequent use of word puzzles, the solution of which is based on the logical thinking rather than symbolic intuitive discourse observed in the other chapters, may suggest that medicine might not have been originally that closely linked with the other branches of the knowledge, but it may have been integrated in the following times, but this requires further research. Thank you.
What's the first question?
Thanks very much for this really fun introduction to the puzzles in the Tamil Siddha literature. I have a suggestion, and I wonder what you think about this. So, thinking about the function of this concealment, so the question is, what is being obscured? And from your examples at least, it always seemed as if Sanskrit words were being obscured. I mean, every time the solution was a word that sounded very much like the Sanskrit word, and the etymology, I think they do come from Sanskrit in the end. So I wonder whether this encoding of the medical knowledge may partly be to do with, the Tamilization process of medicine as a whole. That's just a suggestion. So I don't know.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think this is a very valuable suggestion, and I will consider.
I'm wondering if commentaries were written on these texts that explain the esoteric language.
Only the medical part is provided with a commentary. That's why I could solve the riddles, but the alchemical and yogic part are not provided with a commentary at all. So in the medical part, there is also a commentary which gives you the dosages of even if they are not in the original recipe, it provides you numerical data about how many palms should be of ingredients should be used. But the alchemical and yogic parts do not have a commentary.
Is that an oral tradition?
I think so, yeah.
Thanks, it was really very interesting. I don't think that's necessary to go to Tirumandiram for the history of this encoding practice, because it's very common in tantric texts, even in Kavya. So the Sanskrit tradition deals with this encoding practices quite commonly. You have this encoded mantras in tantric texts, and then this mantrodhara practice. I think that it would be more probable source. It was like common practice, and not only Tirumandiram. And one should not. I would avoid the term riddle for it, because riddle by literary historians is quite a separate concept. Yeah, there are some encoding puzzles or something like this. I would suggest that.
I was thinking which word I should use to denote this kind of strategies of encoding, and I use interchangeably riddles and the puzzles. But thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that you also have this decoding of Tibetan plant remedies as well, and so I'm not sure if this really has to do with the Tamilization of Sanskrit terms.
It's just very obvious that almost every single example was a Sanskrit term.
But some of the Tibetan terms also refer, it's a translation of Sanskrit terms, and then they become obscure, and so I'm not sure if this, if it's wanted or if it's just, codes. But I think it's what you said, you have it all over the place, you have this already in Mesopotamian sources, that you have decoded names for ingredients, for remedies, for medicine.
Thank you.
Thanks. It reminds me of the Cockney rhyming slang of London, some of what you were saying. I'll go and have butchers at the apples. I'll go and have a look at the stairs. Butchers book apples and pears, etc. I was wondering about the alchemical passage here in the work. Kędzia, who worked on the biography of Irāmatēvar, said that he'd gone to Mecca and he'd learned alchemy in Mecca and had brought it back to Tamil Nadu. And I don't know if you've had time or the possibility to explore whether this chapter on alchemy has any parallels with the Jagiellonian corpus or other alchemical traditions of the Middle East.
I haven't checked it yet, but I think it's worth exploring.
This focus on making gold sounds more European than Indian.
Yes.
So it would be an area to look into.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if we could identify a real link with the Middle Eastern tradition of alchemy, with actually like sentences or ideas.
Yeah, especially that the stories.
The stories of Yākōpu going to Mecca are quite well spread in his text, so I think that must have had some influence on the science. And he's always praising the knowledge which he received from the prophets.
question about the numbers. I'm really not familiar with the Tamil alphabet and the numbers, but I was struck by when you were saying, sometimes the signs of the numbers are like the letters and so on. So that would, to me, seem a problem based on a certain time. I mean, as alphabets change, so can you date a text by the text using those numbers? Thinking about how the alphabet looks?
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't researched on that yet.
But did they change a lot over time?
I think not from the 18th and 17th or 18th century.
It was very stable, yeah.
Yeah.
If there are no more questions, then thank you very much.
Thank you.